Hey everyone, we're TowawayCouple. I'm Tom, the driver.
And I'm Bunny, and I'm the insurance purchaser.
You are the insurance purchaser, and this video is about commercial insurance.
Yes, just an update on some of the information we found out.
Yes, over the last 2.5 years. So, we would like to ask, if you're listening to this on podcast or watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel, and that way you'll be notified of any future videos, our podcast. Mm-hmm. And jump over to our Instagram and Twitter, TowawayCouple, all one word, and join our Facebook group, RV Transport Group for New People.
It's been a while since we've done a video.
It's been a while. It's been probably a couple months. I've released a couple videos, but we did those a long time ago.
Right, because you know what? There was really not much to talk about with the slowdown. So now that we're kind of up and running a little bit more.
Right. We're starting to be able to talk a little bit. So about insurance. We just got a message on our YouTube saying that they remembered that we did a video on commercial. We called it business insurance.
We
but
did.
We totally got that backwards. But they asked if we had any more information. Who do we buy from? Where do they look? Etc. etc. Because when we did that video, we really didn't. We were just getting into the towaway driving, so we're putting the videos out as we were hearing about it. So we didn't have too much experience about it.
No, and you know what? Going through our last orientation, we did find out a lot of information that we didn't know with our previous carrier.
Yeah, like one of the questions we didn't ask, we just assumed.
We assumed. Because you know that packet that you get with your insurance papers, so it's like this thick, and
nobody ever reads
everything that it covers.
I mean, I'll bet you 1 in thousands actually go through it and read it. I know we're going to get comments going, I read mine, you should read yours.
One of the very important things that you have to know is when you're getting into the RV transport industry, you are now a commercial driver.
So your personal insurance will most likely, we've had debates on this, and we will just say that our personal insurance would not cover us if we got into an accident. At fault or not our fault, they would drop us like a rock.
At the end, I called Geico, I called State Farm, I called everyone that I had used for personal insurance in the past, and they all said absolutely not would they cover our vehicle if it was attached to a commercial travel trailer.
Now, a lot of insurance companies don't understand RV transport. So when you call the person, they're like, what are you talking about? You're pulling RVs? Yeah, it's covered. Yeah, your RV, not a RV that you were hired to haul from the manufacturer to the dealership. So what we asked the insurance company is, if we were to go to work delivering pizzas, would we be covered? That was a very basic, simple question, and they say no. They say, well, you could get away with it. That's the person who wants that commission, not the underwriter who's going to deny you.
And not the person that's going to protect you if you get in an accident.
Exactly. So you want a very clear answer on if you're going to pull RVs for a profit from the manufacturers to the dealership through an RV transport business, will you be covered? Be very, very specific on it. And we do have several listed on our resources on TowawayCouple.com. You can contact a couple of those commercial RV insurance packages.
Now, sure, it is more expensive than a personal insurance policy, but...
A little?
A little?
We went from like $300 a month on all of our stuff to $700 a month just on our two trucks. So $350 a month. People ask, how much should they pay in commercial RV transport insurance? We've heard people say they've gotten it for $320 a month, $340 a month, $400. We've seen people pay $1,200 a month.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on what type of insurance.
It also depends on your driving record, on where
Your
you
age.
live, on your credit report. So it all depends on a lot.
Exactly. So one of the things that I've come to find that people who spend $1,500, $2,000 a month, and it's out there, and they will sell it to you, is the insurance company thinks you're running under your own authority. So therefore, they're grouping in the cargo insurance as well as your truck insurance, everything combined. Where the transport companies, now let's just make a very clear statement here, maybe not all transport companies, but the transport companies me and Bunny have run for all supply a limited liability insurance on the cargo.
Right, which is not going to cover your vehicle if you get in an accident.
Correct. So you got to make sure you're covered completely and fully.
Yeah, and it totally, like I said, and the other big thing that it's going to raise your rates is this 2017 obviously does not have a higher resale value as to 2022, so they counteract each other a little bit, but you definitely need to put on there what the value of your truck is, so that way in case anything happens you do get covered fully.
Now, when we first got into it, I didn't really fully understand that because we do have gap insurance and stuff like that. So we put a very low value on our 17. The problem with that is while the gap insurance might cover our loan, our low insurance that we said the truck was worth would be what we would get. First, they're going to pay off the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever money you get. So you can double the value of your truck fairly easily. You could say if your truck, you owe 20 grand on it, you could say it's worth 40 grand. They'll pay off your truck at 20 grand and they'll put 20 grand in your pocket and you can use that to purchase our down payment towards a new truck.
Right, but they are also going to go off the Blue Book value.
They
also.
are going to, so yeah, you don't want to over exaggerate.
They're not going to go according to just what you say it's worth. They are going to
they'll let you pick a price.
Of course they will.
So if you say your truck's worth 100 grand and it's worth 30 grand, they are going to charge you for $100,000. But when it comes tit for tat, they're going to pay you $30,000.
Now, one big thing that we did learn when we switched over to our new carrier, we have gone back to Cottingham and Butler.
Yeah, we were with
Northwoods
Insurance Company.
And it was covered under Lloyd's of London.
Yes, and we thought Lloyd's of London, great insurance. We heard nothing but great things about Lloyd's of London from other drivers. And then I was sitting in orientation one day, and they made this really obscure comment, and it made me perk up and go, what is that comment? They said, be careful on your commercial insurance. You may or may not be able to pull your own personal trailer without it being for hire. So I'm like, no, it's my truck. It would be, no. So I called Bunny and I said, hey, they're saying that the insurance at Starfleet covers our personal trailer and that not all insurance companies do. Can you verify, does our insurance cover our trailer? Because we've been pulling, we have an enclosed, now we have 2 enclosed trailers and a 40-foot fifth wheel. We've been pulling them all over the place. And Bunny calls, we weren't covered.
No matter what, even if I was pulling my own boat, I'm like, but it's my own trailer and it's registered to me, and they said it does not matter. It is not covered under this particular policy.
So we called the Cottingham and Butler policy and said, okay, I'm starting over at Starfleet, and they were mentioning this, and they said, yes, as long as the trailer is in your name. Mm-hmm. Meaning, I don't know if we can buy it and then transfer it with the bill of sale. We never got that far, but as long as it's registered to us, we can pull it.
Right.
And I think they probably, there might be a reason for that.
Well, I'm sure there is.
For people who are going to, for hire, take somebody's fifth wheel from Montana to California, and they get a bill of sale, but they're never going to put that trailer in their name. That's just so if they get pulled over by DOT.
But I even asked him, I'm like, but my fifth wheel has its own insurance on it. And they said it doesn't matter because, well, Geico's going to cover that fifth wheel if I get in an accident. But they're not going to cover my truck because I'm not supposed to be pulling another non-commercial trailer with it.
Or we have insurance on our fifth wheel, but that cover if the fifth wheel hit another car if I was merging lanes.
No, because it was not covered under that particular policy.
Exactly.
So we switched over to Cottingham and Butler real quickly.
Real fast.
I mean, and it is a little bit more than my previous policy, but now we're covered.
Yeah, like I said, we got 2 enclosed trailers, and we haul our Harley in one of the trailers. We have to have insurance on the Harley because while the insurance will cover the contents of the trailer, anything that needs to be registered has to be registered and its own insurance.
The other thing you need to really watch for, all of my name was on all of the paperwork originally when we first started driving. All of my name was on the original paperwork, but for something happened in the mix and my name got removed off of the policy.
Yeah.
So therefore, I had been driving Tom's truck for over a year
and a half.
And not being covered.
Right. So I was the only one covered, and it had to have a very specifically written in there that Bunny was also a driver. So whenever we'd go to California, we would deadhead it back. We would take turns driving the empty truck. And we had no clue that we weren't covered.
And that even goes to the fact is, now that this is a commercial truck, that even goes to the fact is, say your significant other is not even riding with you. But so you think, okay, we don't need that name on it. But if you go home and they take your car or your truck to the store and get in an accident, it's not going to be covered because that name was not on your policy.
Absolutely.
So it's very, very important
Here's
to verify.
Another thing. We were happy with Lloyd's of London before we found out we couldn't pull our own trailers. When we went over to Indiana Transport, from Horizon, we had to get 500,000 unladen, and they refused to use Cottingham and Butler for whatever reason. They did not want us to use that, so therefore we had to use Northern Lakes Insurance for the $500,000 unladen. So we decided to keep our commercial insurance with Cottingham and Butler.
Mm-hmm. Or no, I can't remember.
It wasn't Cottingham and Butler, it was somebody else.
It was a completely different carrier.
So we decided to keep our commercial insurance with them and put our unladen at another company. And for a year and a half, we had no clue. We were paying premium prices, and since we didn't have unladen and commercial insurance, that's our bell to shut up. They brought that's where your name got removed. Mm-hmm. And they brought us down to limited liability. We didn't even have full coverage for a year and a half.
How scary is that?
And
I'm surprised that the finance company didn't contact me.
I'm very surprised because we didn't get a new insurance binder.
And that's one of the crazy things is a lot of times on your commercial policies, you don't get the big packet from your insurance company that you do when you're on personal insurance.
Right. So when we moved the unladen over, we just thought we got full coverage. We're both drivers. Then we moved the unladen, and next thing you know, they removed Bunny off of it as a driver and lowered us to liability, but they still charged us exactly what we were paying.
Right, because they said, well, if you didn't have a combined policy with us, you could not have the...
You couldn't get the discount, you couldn't get the full coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, had they had told us that when we were removing the unladen, then we would have opted to move all of it over to Northern Lakes.
But once again, that is from an insurance agent who wants that commission.
Right. So we totally got screwed on that. But thankfully, we didn't get into an accident. Thankfully, Bunny didn't get into an accident. And thankfully, we're still doing RV transport today because we still have our truck and it's not totaled out. So there's just a lot of little things. Don't be afraid to ask questions like the person asking us to do a follow-up. Yeah, I was telling Bunny, we need to do a follow-up.
And you want to know what's really crazy is Tom definitely knows how much monthly insurance is now.
Because it comes off of my EFS card. Everything used to come off of Bunny's stuff, and all my money's just accumulated. I was rich. Well, in my own mind. But on my card, I had a lot of money. And then all of a sudden, each month, it's dinging 700 and some change. And I'm like, I better get dispatched. Otherwise, I'm going to be broke.
I'll switch you, and you can pay the 2 truck payments.
Yeah, and I don't want the 2 truck payments. So anyway, we just wanted to put out this update. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel. If you're listening to us on podcast, we are doing 45-minute podcast. Typically, we break them down into segments. If you're on YouTube, we try to keep them about 15 minutes or less.
We try.
All right, so until next time.
We'll see you down the road.
We'll see you down the road.